Hi, Rosie Napravnik here with Twin Spires, and I'm here with Todd Pletcher. Todd has 4 runners in the Derby this year, which is absolutely not uncommon. Todd, all your horses have been looking really well on the track. You've got 4 horses, we were talking, all coming from off the pace, and it seems like they all have really kind of different quirks to them. One of the horses that really caught my eye was Known Agenda. I know a lot of people have been talking about how he's had some urging in his works, but for me, that doesn't bother me. What do you think about the way that he's been breezing up to the race?
When we came in, I told everyone before we even breezed that this is not always dreaming. He's not going to go out there and go 59 by himself. That's not his personality. So I actually think his 2 works here at Churchill are better than his works leading up to the Florida Derby. And it's one of the reasons why we brought Irad in from New York to work him both times, because he does take a little bit of riding, and he can be a little bit of a lazy horse on his own. So I thought his 2 works were very good and what I expected from him. He seems to be really good at the moment. He's in good flesh. He's been showing us good energy. So I got what I was hoping to get from him.
Yeah. Bourbonic actually ended up working by himself, which is, it's kind of odd. He's a horse that comes from way off the pace, and Kendrick put such a confident and patient ride on him in the wood, but yet he's one more the aggressive horses training. That's sort of ironic. Tell us about why you decided to work him by himself.
Yeah, he's just his energy level's been really high since he's been here, and he's gotten a little bit stronger in his gallops. And I was debating the last few days whether or not to put him in company again, and he was just so aggressive in his gallops. I said, you know what, I think he's going to do enough on his own. He doesn't need a real strong work. He didn't work for 12 days prior to the Wood Memorial, and he performed well that way. So I was a little concerned that he was going to be too aggressive, and it maybe wasn't going to be best for his workmate either. So decided to work him alone, and I thought he worked well. It was 49-3, but what I really liked is he went out and won 15, and he kept going, and it was hard to pull up at the end of the breeze. So the further the better for him, and if he can get some pace to run at, and Kendrick's able to settle him like he did last time and make one run, that's what we'll try to do.
It seems like even in his gallops here leading up, he gets stronger at the end of his gallop. So definitely not a horse you hate to have in a 1.25 mile race.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got plenty of stamina in his pedigree, and the further they go, I think the better he'll get.
Dynamic One coming straight off of the maiden win into the wood. It looked like he almost waited on a horse right at the end. I mean, do you have concerns about him being a little green? Having said that, he looked phenomenal on the track, breezing in his last breeze leading up to the race. What are your impressions of him in a big field?
He's one that he definitely is learning how to polish off a race, and I think when he made the lead in the wood, he got a little bit lost. He didn't have a target, and Bourbonic surprised him late. But we played with his blinkers a little bit, opened up a bigger hole on him, and I thought he worked dynamite this morning, galloped out strongly. But you could see even in the gallop out, as well as he was going, he was still pricking his ears and taking it all in. So he's one that you kind of got to time it right, but it's nice to see him now finally running the way we expected him to, because we were very high on him before his debut last November, and it seems like he's finally starting to live up to our expectations.
And Sainthood is another one that's really pretty inexperienced, but this horse looks push button. I mean, the way he ran in the Jeff Ruby, I mean, he settled right in there, and then you couldn't ask, especially a young, inexperienced horse, to recover the way he did in the stretch when he got bumped and then come back. I mean, you would have thought he would be done in that race, or any horse has the right to quit after something like that, but he seems to just be super honest.
He is, he's consistent, and he too, my biggest concern is he's lightly raced, and when he broke his maiden at the fairgrounds, he was on the lead, and he was totally unsure of what to do with that. So I think he's better with a target, but he seems to be getting better and better, a little more professional in all of his works, and like you said, at the moment he's push button. I mean, his 2 breezes here have been just spot on, and did everything just the way you'd want him to.
He doesn't have a rider yet, and I'm sure you probably haven't even made a decision, but are there certain considerations that you're in between as far as riders?
Well, I mean, we felt like we want to wait and see who might be available. Obviously, a lot of important works this weekend, and we want to make sure that we choose the best person possible. And so we'll have to make a decision Sunday or Monday, and we'll see what our options are.
Now, although I never rode the Derby for you, Todd, I learned so much when I was riding for you. And one of the things that I took away was, you used to say, is don't take anything away from him. And I took that with me, not only on your horses, but on every horse I rode after that. But my favorite instructions from you, and I'll use a different 4-letter word, is don't mess it up. And I loved that so much because it just told me that you had the confidence in the horse, had done your job, the horse is ready, and it was just up to me to, you know, perform. So do you have any special instructions for any of your riders?
Well, I mean, I think what we'll talk about are kind of the way we see the race unfolding, and I don't handcuff my riders with specific instructions. I want you here, here, here.
Right.
I will tell them how I think the race is going to play out, and maybe, you know, if I think I know something about another horse that might help them, I'll tell them that. But yeah, I try not to handcuff them. These guys are some of the best jockeys in the world, some of the best jockeys of all time. So we have confidence in them. But yeah, I mean, I'll try to discuss some basic strategies while knowing they have to call audibles along the way.
I'll never forget when I came to your office the day before Shanghai Bobby won the Breeders' Cup, and we talked about how the race would play out, and I left your office absolutely sweating because I saw it completely different than what you described. And then in the paddock, on the day of the race, you were like, forget what we talked about, this is what I see now. And that was what I had seen, and I was like, whew, big relief. So I know it can be, you know, usually you're on the same page as the jockey. You guys are all, you know, working with the same horse, and you're seeing the same form when the race comes. So I know, you know, you'd like to leave the options open so that there's, you know, the jock can make the decisions when they come.
Right. Usually what I like to do is when the jockey comes out is say, what do you think? And like you said, most of the time you're on the same page. And every once in a while when you're not, then you got to say, hey, you know, maybe it's going to happen this way. But 99% of the time they're going to come out and they're going to be on the same page that I am. And but you know, with a race like the Derby, 20 horses, we'll spend a little more time trying to dissect it and figure out. But you know, in our horses' cases this year, the horses that are going to be coming from off the pace, so it's really, post position can be critical, and just, you know, catching that right seam at the right time can be so important.
Okay, final question. I'm sad that I never rode the Derby for you, especially considering you've had a gazillion runners in the Derby. But if I were riding this year, which horse would I be riding of yours?
Well, you seem to like Sainthood, so he's open, and it's plenty of time to make a comeback.
Well, I'll not eat lunch.
I think probably Dynamic One would be a good fit for you.
Cool. I like that horse.
Yeah.
I actually really like them all, so I'd be thrilled to be on any of them, Todd.
Thank you.
Best of luck.
Thanks.